go.
Hey everybody, welcome to Power Hour. Today we're going to be talking about heart attacks, specifically the heart attack that my co-host Giles Tiger Thomas had May 15, 2022. Why this isn't just relevant to bodybuilders, because heart disease is the leading cause of death for all men and women all around the world, across the board. The chances are you watching this, you're either going to die of a heart attack or cancer. So heart attack is something you need to know about. And we're going to talk to Giles. Giles, you're someone who's been through this, so you've told bits and pieces of the story over the past few years. This fateful day, you just told me May 15th, 2022. But let's go through it, because a lot of the viewers, unfortunately, you're going to have this is going to happen to you probably. So maybe you can prevent it, maybe you can manage it. We'll see where we go with this. But Giles, you were in Ireland for a muscle contest. And you were doing MC duties. You were at the podium. So walk me through how. First of all, were there any warning signs in the days leading up to this that something was amiss?
First of all, that's a very cheery start, saying basically all you viewers, you're all going to die, guys. But hey, listen to this. This is really entertaining. It was so basically I was because I was really building everything, because after the pandemic I was really building everything in this studio. I had like 5-6 online shows, filming, producing, editing. I was doing everything, it was all different stuff with Ronnie and the Pro League, everything, MD, the female show, everything. And then I was like, right, I want to really push what I'm doing, because obviously you and me kind of had one of the last two writing jobs in the industry. We kind of hung on, years after, Flex magazine folded and everything else. So we were kind of, so I was always looking to do more and kind of, because the thing is, I've done so many different things in the industry. I like doing lots of different things in the industry because I like learning, and like I've been a photographer, I've been on the other end of the lens, I've been on stage, I've done everything. I mean, people know of me, know probably most of what I've done, over the years, if they followed me over the decades. And, so I was looking to start emceeing shows, because I was supposed to MC an amateur one in Cyprus for the NPC for Avramis Kyriakou and Mo El Moussaoui, the New Zealand promoter who used to do that. He was top 10 Olympia a couple of times, now a promoter and a judge. So because my dad was living in Cyprus at the time, retired at the time. And I was looking, so basically that, and then obviously the pandemic happened and that got cancelled. But I was really, because I'd emceed a couple of non-pro league shows and I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to that was the next thing I wanted to sort of take on, because there seems to be very few MCs, but tons of shows. And, the shows at the time were just exploding with the NPC since the split in 2017. So basically I was looking to MC. So my first Pro League one came up at the Ireland one. So I was really excited and got up there. And I was struggling with my blood sugar for a couple of days because me and Lauren, it was her birthday on the 13th. And I went for an Italian and, bread, pasta. It's like the worst thing for diabetics, So my blood sugar I was really struggling with it those couple of days. So anyway, so at the day of the show, I was trying to find anything to eat. And it was a lovely venue, but like there was nothing to eat. And it was kind of like, it was out not in the middle of nowhere, but there was nowhere visible to eat. So I managed to get an Uber Eats. And basically the cleanest thing I could get was a Thai red chicken curry with white rice. Now, white rice is basically like the kiss of death for diabetics. And I knew then I was going to be up on stage, and I thought, well, I can't eat nothing. So I basically just thought, well, I'll just eat this, and I'll just have to make do, because it's either that or nothing. So I ate it, and then my blood sugar went, and then basically before I went on stage, because I'm type 2, but sometimes if my blood sugar goes too high, I'll have to take a corrective dose of insulin to bring it down. Normally I can get away with not using it. I'll just go low carb, I exercise, and I can basically avoid the injections altogether. But I thought, okay, I'm going to need to take an injection to cover this because my blood sugar is up to like 20, 21, and it should be like 6 to 8. So that's when your blood goes thick and your heart starts skipping beats. And and then my insulin pen wouldn't work. It kept clicking through. It wasn't administering. I was like, shit. And they're like, okay, Giles, you need to get up on stage and to the plinth, and you're going to be up there for the next God knows how many hours. I was like, oh, shit. So basically, I knew my blood sugar was going to be running high. So I got up there, and then I started like fiddling with the mic, and I was, you're like watching your hand do something, and it was like it was somebody else's hand, and I was like, what? And I thought, what? And then my legs started like sort of doing this weird thing, and I was like, what's going on here? And I wasn't nervous, I was just kind of wanting to get going, And and then I could feel my heart start skipping beats because my blood sugar was going high, which means it's like the blood goes thicker and it's having to work harder to pump thicker blood. And I thought, oh shit, when I start fidgeting, people are going to start to notice. Anyway, so the next thing you know, I said to the girl who was doing the medal, I said, I don't feel so good. And she said, really? And she looked really like, oh shit, really? I went, yeah, I really don't feel so good. And I said, can you get Brian up here, please? And she went, yeah. And it looks like she knew it was an emergency, even though I was being very calm with my response. I was like, I don't really know what's going on here, but I kind of need to just take a minute. So, and then in the next 30 seconds, I was literally running through the back, out the back, and then this pain just all through my jaw. And then there was some pallets stacked up, and I just sat down, and I was just basically holding my head, shutting my eyes, and it was just the most painful experience ever. It was, and then they managed to say over the speaker system, look, has anyone got any insulin? And of course, this bodybuilder's going to have some. So then some guy in flip-flops, all tanned up in his trunks, came out with this plastic bag, and he had all the sealed insulin. So I was like, banging it in, and kept checking my blood. And it still wasn't coming down because it takes a while to get into the bloodstream anyway. But I was panicking, because I was in a lot of pain because I thought it was a diabetic thing because I'd had no warning shots. I do cardio Monday to Friday. My diet is good. I train hard. I keep in good shape, as you've seen. I keep in regular shape. I'm lean. So I had no reason to believe it was anything to do with my heart because I'd never had anything like a warning shot. I was traveling a lot. I was doing a lot of commentary trips. And I felt great. Energy was good. I used to sometimes get a little bit tired sometimes, really almost like narcolepsy. But I've been used to that for years. So yeah. Anyway, basically, where do you want to go to? Basically, they took me to the hospital, tested my blood, checked my troponin levels, and they were high. Took it again a few hours later, and it went really high, and it went up to 6,500, which apparently the ambulance lady said was a new record. Wow. So, and an hour afterwards, because I was on the stretcher bringing me in, and I was like, give me something for the pain. I was like, give me some freaking morphine, anything. I was like, I'll do it myself. And then the guy put like 2 things in my mouth, and I was like, what's that? And he said, aspirin. I said, fucking aspirin. I said, what's that going to do? But apparently aspirin is one of the best things to give because it instantly thins the blood. And then within 15 to 20 minutes of being like writhing in agony, like convulsing in the ambulance, because they were giving me that spray as well to dilate the vascular. I forget the name of it. It's a 4 letters, 3 or 4 letters. Mm-hmm. And then I felt completely fine. And before they told me I'd had a heart attack, I said, Ron, should we just go? I said, we've got to get a flight back tomorrow. I said, we may as well. And they said, no, you're not going anywhere. So they told me, they checked the blood test results, said I had a massive heart attack. And then that turned into 3.5 weeks in Ireland. 2 weeks later, I had a triple bypass operation. My heart was over 80% blocked, which was extremely unusual for someone of my age. They're looking at me and they're like, you don't fit the bill. And then like even when they're wheeling me through the cardiac thing, it was all old people, overweight people that you could see that smoked and didn't really take care of themselves. And I'm kind of being wheeled in and I'm kind of in shape and I don't fit the bill. Like when the guy looked at when I had the angiogram, he's like, what? I said, is it stents? And he says, no, you're way past stents. He says, you're talking like you've got serious heart disease. He said, how old are you? I said, I'm 45. And he says, well, you've got really bad heart disease. He said, how have you managed this? How have you got it? And I said, it's news to me. I said, I feel fine. I said, I look after myself. I don't know. I said, I just, that's it, because I think what it was, I said, I found I was diabetic type 2 in 2013 after the last time I competed. Mm-hmm. And I think I was for a number of years. I just didn't know about it. Now, if you don't know, because a bodybuilding lifestyle, like or a competing lifestyle, low carb lifestyle, is probably the best way to control your blood sugar. So what I was doing with my bodybuilding was probably managing, as a consequence, which I didn't know, was managing my blood sugar really, really well without even knowing it. So it was like I'd lower my carbs and my energy would go up. And I was like, this is great. Most people, when they're low carbs on they're dying on their feet, they're like, and I'm just bouncing around the gym and hitting PBs 2 weeks out from a show. So it basically turned out I had a massive heart attack, had a triple bypass. They took veins from my, I got the veins, they've got you can't see the scar there. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of faded now. They take veins, they open up your arm, they take one from your leg and they take one from your chest cavity. I don't know if you can see the scar. It's, hang on. Can you see that? It's really, it's too bright. You can't see it, but I've got a big ass, like sort of 10-inch scar where they literally crack you open. In fact, there's one point where they take your heart outside of your body.
There it is.
and they attach the veins. Oh yeah, they are. And they attach the veins to, because it's really raw there. It's a lot better than that now. Ooh. And they attach the veins to your heart, and then they put the heart back inside the chest cavity, literally sew you up, and then send you off to wake up a few hours later in intensive care. So it was quite an experience. But after because Ronnie was asking, because he had his stents, and he said, Giles, Ronnie was messaging me the other day, and he says, how long did it take before? I said, because I asked him, I said, are you back training now, Ronnie? And he went, yeah, I am now. And he said, they wouldn't allow me to train for 5 months. And stents is basically what you hope for, because they do it through keyhole, through the arm. They don't open you up. So I was praying for stents, but they went, nah, you're gonna have to be, you're got to be in the zipper club, mate. We're gonna have to crack you open. So wow. which is the one thing you don't want to hear, because it's like there's a woman that came in to psychologically prepare you. She's like a psychiatrist almost. I think a psychiatrist. She said, look, it's my job to make sure that you're mentally ready for this. And I just said, and then she started describing the operation. I said, I'm going to stop you there. I said, look, I know I've got to have it done. I'm absolutely fine with it. Let's get it done. I said, I don't need to know the details, because she said, oh, do you know then they crack you? And I went, oh, stop there. I said, stop there. I said, look, I know I'm going to have it done. I said, I'm okay with it. Just do what you got to do. I said, because I'm probably not going to live without it. So I'm going to have to take my chances on the table, because there's a 1 in 6 chance you won't make it. You know, I had to sign that to say, look, before you sign it, there's a 1 in 6 chance. The guy's words were, the doctor's nurse, he says, we don't save everyone. We can't save everyone. He said, we'd love to. He said, but there's 1 in 6 don't make it. And I said, well, 1 in 6 chances. I used to take bigger risks than that every weekend when I used to go partying. So I said, I just laughed. I just laughed and signed it like that. And you could see him like, okay. We thought this guy's a bit weird. But I just thought, well, got to have it done. And I'm young. I'm relatively young, fit, healthy, ironically. Yeah. So I just kind of got on with it. The surgery was a success. But anyway, Ronnie was asking about how long it took. And I said, well, after like 2-3 weeks, I was back here doing cardio at home on the treadmill. I kept a diary every day. So every day the incline would go slightly up, or I'd go slightly faster or burn more calories. And I did that for like a couple of months every day, increasing the time, the incline, basically just working my way up, keeping a diary. Then after 12 weeks, I started back training. And then, it wasn't training, it was exercising. It was like light exercising training. And then after 3-4 weeks, they said 12 weeks, and this was like about 15-16 weeks. I was back training hard, and everything went to plan. I used to get a few pains I used to like pull my right side sometimes. I used to get pains on my legs sometimes when when the bottom of the scar used to sting sometimes in winter But absolutely no problems now. I had my checkup as well 14 months after the cardiologist. And he said, Giles, I've got something to tell you. He says, I've been looking at your scans for about 45 minutes. And he says, I've never seen in all my years, he says, in my like 20 years of being a cardiologist, he says, I've never seen anyone have that level of heart attack but also have zero scarring or damage. He says, you should have notable scarring and damage. He says, but he said, it's as if they've shown me the heart of somebody that's perfectly young, healthy, and there's like nothing's happened. He says, it's an absolute miracle. I've never seen it happen. He said, you're very lucky. He said, but yeah, he says that is literally a first for me in all my years as a cardiologist. So I looked lucky.
I looked up the risk factors. It's not hard to do. Smoking, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, diabetes, and physical inactivity. The only box you tick there is diabetic, that you're diabetic. So in hindsight now, would you have done anything more preventative, more cardio, because I know you eat very clean. I know you train, but is there anything you would have done differently that you think might have prevented this?
I didn't know I was diabetic. I mean, I don't know when I became diabetic. I found out in 2013, because after the show, I wasn't like filling out. I was still really like, my cheeks were sunken in and I was still shredded, and I was eating a lot of food, but I wasn't nothing was kind of happening. I wasn't kind of putting any size back on. And one way I was thinking, this is great. And then I was filming Anth Bales and Dan Smith, the wheelchair pro bodybuilder. And I said, guys, can we come back tomorrow and film the interview? I said, because I feel like I'm going to keel over. And then Anth said, you go back and forth to the toilet a lot, Giles. He said, and I've noticed you've been drinking a lot. He says, let me just do something. So I want to check your blood sugar on my machine. And he checked it, and it was like 26, which is like, my blood was like treacle. And he said, you need to get yourself to hospital. He said, you're diabetic. He said, because anything over 10, he said, you're basically diabetic. He said, you're at 26. He said, so that's why you're feeling a bit dodgy, you know? So anyway, in answer to your question, I think I wished if I'd have known, because I was really good when I found out I was diabetic. I started keeping a diary. You know, I took it seriously with the diet, you know, the low carb, and I eliminated all sugar. I mean, it's like, for me, it was actually quite easy. It wasn't, because I've always been quite disciplined with my food. I've competed, you know, so I do feel bad for people that, you know, don't have the knowledge or anything, or the will, or they don't like eating clean. So for me, it was an easy transition. So it wasn't really much of an imposition. I just kind of adapted to it very, very well. So if I'd have known from how many years I was previously, it could have been 10 years, I could have been diabetic and not known about it. And during that time, you know, when I was eating carbs or sugars or whatever, my blood sugar was going up and causing the damage. So that's the only thing I just wished I'd known. But it took competing, you know, going from one extreme or the other with the diet. You know, it was after the show, that's when I started noticing, you know, I wasn't feeling too good. And so that's really, there's nothing else I could have done, because like I said, I don't smoke. I drink a little bit of red wine. That's the only thing. I went a bit crazy in my 20s, but don't we all, you know? So I don't really see what else I could have done, mate. There's nothing really I could have done or differently, or
well, you and me and a lot of
the doctors don't have the.
I was going to say, you and me and a lot of the people watching this, we've done our fair amount of gear as well. That's a risk factor for heart disease. And then people in the comments are going to talk all about the vaccine, so I can't not mention that. Were you vaccinated?
Yeah, the triple vaccine, and then boom. Yeah. So I mean, there was a period of time where I just thought, is it to do with that? But then I think about kind of the shit I did in my 20s, and gear and recreationals, and going out to restaurants 3 times a week and eating 2 desserts, and you know, and the fluctuations in body weight, and you know, GH, and different things, and just kind of burning the candle at both ends. But I think when you're in your 20s, your body can heal and get over a lot of stuff anyway. I think you are quite resilient. Yeah. But you know, I mean, and the thing is, as I got into my 30s and certainly into my 40s, all the things I did in my 20s, I didn't want to do in my 30s and 40s. So it wasn't like I carried on that lifestyle. You know, I was a bit reckless with gear. I never took high doses, but I would sometimes just, you know, I probably should have come off for longer and done more properly. And, you know, but we all have body dysmorphia, and we're all frightened of losing size, and, you 100%. Know, and just, you know, the thing is, like I've spoke to you about eating like the 6 meals a day thing anymore. I think once you get past even 30, or even, definitely past 40, I don't think it's healthy to be eating the 6-7 meals a day, because I can easily eat 6-7 meals a day. It wouldn't be hard for me to train myself up to it. But now I'm down to typically 4 meals a day. Sometimes I can get away with 3. On the weekend, sometimes I can even have 2. And I'm still kind of training hard, and I'm feeling my body changing, and my energy levels are good. So I think Jay Cutler's talked about the important, you know, the food that goes in and stuff. He said, I think that's one of the most dangerous things, because your body can't handle it. Your body's not designed to eat 6-7 meals a day. So I'm thinking, and also now, like I didn't have breakfast till 12:30 today. You know, so I mean, I don't have breakfast between 11:30 is the earliest. Sometimes I won't have breakfast till 1 p.m. And the thing is, have you seen those progress pictures? My training, I look like I'm changing. I'm you know. And so I'm fasting, and I'm hungry as soon as I get up. So I'm hungry for like 4 or 5 hours. But now it doesn't bother me like it used to. It used to really stress me out. I'd be like, oh no, I'm going to lose size. I'm going to lose strength. And you know what? You don't. In fact, actually fasting is actually very, very good for you. You know, it allows, because my digestion and my body is, you know, especially with the cardio and stuff, it keeps the blood moving around the body. We're not bombarding my body with, you know, tons of protein. Like if you look at all my portion sizes, I put a post up yesterday, and I just basically put random shots of the food I'm eating now. And, you know, the meal sizes aren't massive. It's all, I don't eat till I'm full to bursting. So my digestion is my digestive system is, this one. Yeah, look, go on, next one. Oh, that's recent. Oh, like it's not huge portions. It's fish, greens, nuts, fruits. Keep going. Okay. You know, steak and sweet potato. It's all basic stuff, but it's not huge piles of food, you know, because I'm 49, I'm 50 in a few months. I eat clean. I eat well. It's also very balanced. It's all whole food. There's nothing processed. I mean, yeah, maybe the whole grain rice cakes. I don't have sugar. I don't really have a lot of dairy. Do you know what I mean? A little bit of cottage cheese every now and again, and a bit of grated cheese in my omelet in the morning. But I keep it balanced, keep it varied, and I don't have huge portion sizes. So I think that's the secret as well. My last blood test results were the best I think the best they've ever been. Cholesterol's low. Yeah, I do cardio every morning, and and that's why I'm literally sat to the right of that now. So there's my studio. There's the.
I didn't know. Is there a separate building?
No. Look. It's the that's where I'm sat now. Literally where I'm sat. You'll see now. Look, right. That's where I'm sat now. That seat there on the right. That's where I'm. Hello. That's where I'm sat now.
Okay. What a view.
There's the Scarlet. There's the Scarlet. Yeah. That's my web shooters.
Oh, geez, another one.
Yeah, that's one on the leg. And then they take a vein from your chest cavity as well, which they then attach to your heart, and that basically bypasses the blocked valves. So that was after I'd had my heart surgery. And that's me 7 days after having my chest cracked open, and they let me leave. They give me a wheelchair. I said, I don't want the wheelchair. I'm walking out of here. And
in a suit, no less.
Yeah, and that was like, I refuse to walk out in a bloody pajamas and all that bullshit. I'm like, no, I'm leaving how I came in, guys.
Wow.
So, and they sent me home because I had to get on a plane and lie about being flight safe because I was in Dublin. I was in bloody Ireland. I had to fly to get home. I had to lie about being flight safe.
Wow.
They sent me home with no pain relief. So basically 7 days before, that was last night. I think it's last night. I think I posted that. So I'm in good shape. I hold good shape, and I'm nearly 50, and I stay lean, and I feel great. My energy levels are good, and sometimes get a bit of heart arrhythmia. It's like with that was another thing that quite upset me actually. After the Prague thing, everything happened in Prague. Like certain people. I won't mention their names. There's certain people on podcasts kind of like making fun of the fact I said I need to go see a cardiologist after that because it wasn't what happened was stressful. It was all the shit that came afterwards. And also seeing stuff on podcasts and seeing my name being brought up, and it's like people are saying, "Oh, he's a pussy" and stuff. He's saying they're basically making fun of the fact that I say I had to go see a cardiologist. Because the thing is, the slightest thing can trigger like 2 weeks worth of heart arrhythmia. So my heart can start skipping. And the thing is, when I had the heart attack, that's what happened before I had the heart attack. My heart started skipping. So I have to be conscious. I'm not being a baby. I'm literally. It's like stressful situations can trigger it. And the thing is, I have no bodily response. I have no choice of how my body responds to that. So if it does start skipping stuff, I do actually have to go then make an appointment with my cardiologist. So it's I'm just being sensible because at the end of the day, I don't want to be in an ambulance again being cracked open because I'm telling you, if you've been through something like that, I think you can forgive me for having a little bit of being a little bit careful. The next time. So, that was really upsetting actually seeing how people, because I'm thinking, mate, you don't want to go through what I've gone through. Because if you did, then maybe you might be a little bit more understanding of when I say that. I'm not doing it to be dramatic. I'm not doing it to be a baby. I'm doing it because it's actually, that's basically what the cardiologist said. He said, if you have any instance, you have to book an appointment, get the ECG, because you've got to be monitored. I'm under the guidance of a cardiologist, for the rest of my life now. So anything happens, any stressful situations or anything like that, then I can be in trouble. I can be in big trouble.
That's one thing. I'm glad we talked about cardiologists. See, I think if I got a cardiologist myself that I started seeing about 5 or 6, maybe 7 years ago, just to be proactive because I said, I've done a lot of steroids in my life. I was pretty heavy for a long time for my height. I think I need to see what's going on and keep track of that. So every year I go see this guy because you can get your blood. Everyone says, get your blood work. Great. Check your blood pressure. Great. But that's not telling you what's going on in your heart. You need to have the ultrasound, the EKGs, the calcium score to tell you how much calcifications in your arteries. They do a stress test where you have the electrodes and they have you running on a treadmill to get your ejection. They get your ejection fraction, all kinds of things. So I tell bodybuilders, be proactive. Don't wait until there's a problem because then it's kind of too late. The damage is done. If you had been, you had no reason to even think, maybe I should go see a cardiologist. But had you seen one a year, 2, 3, 4 years before your heart attack, don't you think that damage would have been evident? That they would have said, geez, your arteries, you're blocked up. You need to do something. We need to do something quick.
Yeah, most likely. But all those things you've spoke about, I've had loads of American friends reel off those things that they can get quite easily. Like for me to get something like that, even on private, they just shy away from it. They're like, oh yeah, it's like they're not sort of, it's hard to get in the UK. Like if I went to America, I could probably easily get all those things that you're saying, you know, as a preventative thing, as a follow-up thing after what I've been through. So for me, it's actually quite hard. I mean, if I really, really push it, I can get an ECG, but then, you know, if I get an appointment with my cardiologist, I have to pay so much on extra on top for, I mean, the last time I went to see the cardiologist, he just basically checked my pulse and spoke to me for an hour and answered my questions. But that was it. He didn't really do anything else. I was like, look, I kind of need the full works here because I need peace of mind. I need to know that if I do get this heart arrhythmia, it's not going to be, you know, being carted off in an ambulance again. So I need to know that it's actually just okay and it will calm itself down, or whether I need to address it. So like in America, it seems to be a lot more further ahead when it comes to prevention, because I used to get heart arrhythmia even as a kid. I had a heart, like a heart. They thought I had a heart murmur when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I've had it before where I've had sort of heart skipping. I remember one of my first preps, and I think it was when I started taking clenbuterol, and it gave me some made my heart start jumping and stuff like that. So I probably had probably warning shots even back then, you know. But I think anything you do over time as well. Like I take 1 ml of testosterone now with like TRT, which is slightly over TRT, 250 milligram vananthate, and I'm feeling and looking good on that. Because I'm not a bodybuilder anymore, but I want to maintain, that picture, the side shot, and it's like I'm posting that for a reason, because I'm trying to maintain a look that I can maintain all year round, so I feel good about myself. Because I feel really good at the moment. I feel I'm, my shoulders is hurting now actually, but I'm working around it, and I managed to maintain a little bit of shape. So if you see me in a t-shirt, my arms looking good, and I've got my abs are nice and sharp, and I think for a guy nearing 50, I think that's really. For me, that's very, very important, because I don't want to. My goals aren't to get big and get on stage now, and get a better taper now and all this. It's just I want to have something where I can just maintain all year round, look healthy, feel good, and that's it really. But I probably it's difficult. It's tricky in the UK though. It's not like I said in America. It's your healthcare is light years ahead of us.
Yeah, if I've talked to Canadians, tell me a similar story. I think any country with universal health care, even though you can pay privately for different things, it just seems like the standard of care is so much lower. Yeah, you have the NHS, National Health Service. Is that who you have?
Yeah.
And
I had it where I was getting really bad arrhythmia, and they ended up giving me and I addressed it, and I went to the GP and I said, look, this is really bad. It's really stressing me out. It's skipping a lot, and and I know that's not good. I know that's not normal. And stop it, please. And cat, and they gave me a 24-hour ECG where you basically put the pads on, you put the thing in your pocket, and they you just keep it on you for 24 hours. You sleep with it on, and then you give it back, and then they check the readings, and they give it. And they sent me the ECG back, and they said, yeah, everything looks pretty fine. It'll probably sort itself out, and it did. But a lot of the time, it's the worry, when something's going wrong. You think, especially I'm a little bit oversensitive, maybe. But I have to be, because I don't want to go through that again. It's and it's the heart. And the thing is now, yes, I mean, I know there's probably there's a lot of people dying in the industry, and like you said, it is heart, and it seems to be the first thing that causes the most amount of problems. But I try to mitigate that as much as I can with my diet, and because my diet is like super clean all year round. I only started doing cardio in 2016. My last show was in 2013. I mean, I wished I'd done cardio back then. I mean, I could have eaten more. I would have been able to train harder. I could have recovered quicker. And honestly now, I mean, I can't imagine living without cardio now, because there's so many benefits to it. But I would recommend everyone, even bodybuilders, just do even like 15, 20 minutes, 3, 4, 5 times a week, fasted or whatever, after training, before training, in the morning, fast walk outside if you've got a dog like yourself, but just implement it somehow. You're not going to lose size. And in fact, you're going to be able to process your food better. You're going to have it's better for anything that gets the blood moving around the body. Anything that gets the heart rate up is going to be good for your tendons, your joints. So it's going to be good for injury prevention, recovery, digesting food. Mentally, it makes me feel so much better. I have more energy. It means I can train harder. I can, I can recover. Like after a leg workout, 5 minutes later, I can walk out there no problem, even if it's a really hard one. I used to be out cold for like 20, 30 minutes sometimes, like completely wiped out, Yeah. Now I can really hit it hard and then just walk out of there. It's and I feel completely normal again. So I think cardio is one thing I would definitely recommend. And also the other thing, is this celebrate. I put this on Instagram the other day. This celebration of worshipping the high off-season body weights. Because we've seen a little bit of that recently, and it's like these targets these bodybuilders are setting themselves. And then I see the comments and I'm like, no, you're just enabling these people to keep going. You're motivating them to push it another 10 pounds, another 10 pounds. That's why I think I'm so glad Jamie the Giant got the Gladiator gig. The TV show, because he's now like a major celebrity now. I saw on his Instagram, he was there with the King and all these celebrities, and he's one of them now. Wow. And it's like, because remember when he was working with Milos, and we're like, look, you have to get 350 pounds in the off season and then it was like, look, to really make it as a pro, you're probably going to have to push the body weight up to 400 pounds. And it was like, and then shortly after that, he just went, I'm done. Because I heard rumors he was sleeping with a sleep apnea machine and his wife was sleeping in a separate room because he was just, probably snoring and just like taking up the bed and the machine. It's not good for it's not good for a healthy marriage, is it? But think people don't see that stuff behind the scenes. I don't want it to become normality that bodybuilders are sleeping with these sleep apnea machines. I think the fact that that's just look. And the thing is, he's still massive now, and he's still got great physique. But I think the Gladiators, I think it saved his life. Honestly, I really do. Because right now, I think if he was pushing those kinds of body weights, I really struggle. I think he'd be another casualty right now. I think we'd be seeing another obituary online. Absolutely, 100%.
You remember Ilya? They call him Gollum. I can't remember what his real last name was. The Russian guy. He was a young guy. 27. He was trying to hit 400 pounds body weight.
Yeah, it's not. Remember Jeep Swenson, who played Bane in the Batman film?
Yep.
Like he was another one. It's like it's almost like anything over 300 pounds is just, you're a ticking time bomb. I'm sorry, And I know I've seen these things of Samson. I saw one today where he's at 342 pounds, and what he's aiming for. He's aiming for 350.
Yeah.
And thing is, imagine, I can't even, what I'm hinting at here. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see, and people then are like throwing flowers over him, saying, "Oh, this is amazing, this is great," and it's like, no, you need to call this shit out. It's like, I'm sure he's getting blood work done. I'm sure he's getting, but it doesn't matter, because when you're putting that kind of strain on the heart, and you're training hard, and the hard cardio, and then the restrictive diet, and the stress, of being one of the top guys in the world, it's like, and everything that it entails, it's like these guys. I don't want to see. I just don't want to see. I don't want to see these guys dropping dead. Basically,
it's like every week. It's about an average of one a week. Somebody that we know, that we knew or knew of, passes away, and we just.
What do we do, Ron? What do we do? How do we fight against this? What do we do? I can tell my story on here, and I wasn't somebody that was pushing 300 pounds. I wasn't even competing anymore. I was like a normal guy. But obviously the after effects of what I was doing in my 20s and 30s, when I was trying to be a bodybuilder and have a physique and push my physical, to the limits and stuff like that, and getting shredded condition, and then trying to get big and strong as I could in the off season, and all about getting bigger and stronger and more ripped. It's like, at what point, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not someone that was pushing 300 pounds. And now you've got guys like 310, 320, and 300 pounds. Remember when 300 pounds used to be like, oh, this guy's 300 pounds in the off season. Now you've got like third call out guys in small pro shows, open guys. I'm sure I've seen like classic guys up in the 280s. Wasn't like Bumstead like 260, 270?
260, 270. I mean, Ernst, even when he was still competing in classic, was 270 in the offseason.
Yeah, that's a big guy, mate. And our hearts are only the same size. And you open us up, we're all the same inside.
Well, the hearts do grow, unfortunately, which is part of the problem. The athlete's heart, it's harder to pump the blood once the heart expands in size.
And think about the cardio they're doing, and that's like, okay, you got to get ripped. So you're pushing 2 hours of cardio. So that means your heart rate is elevated for 2 hours Then you got to go home. Then you got to stuff all this food in. And then, but your pancreas is working overtime. And then you've got to come back and train. And you've got to train hard because you've got to get your title back. You've got to win. You've got to, the pressure from the sponsors and the fans and the expectations and the expectations these athletes place on themselves. It's like it's a recipe for disaster. And I don't know. That's why I made a comment. I don't know if you picked up on it. And I said, Kevin Nerone would disagree. And what I was hinting at was that like Kevin Nerone, like in the off season, used to look like me at my best. Do you know what I mean? Like you just look like a sort of a slightly athletic guy that would probably look like he trained in a t-shirt if you saw him in a t-shirt. Yeah. And then 4 months later, he'd be 240, 250 shredded. And then after a show, he'd go back to normal. It's like, what a smart approach. Imagine if everyone could do that. I mean, you just have to ask yourself, would there be as many deaths?
Of course there wouldn't. But I mean, there's also, I think, a pressure because of social media. We see these guys every day. They have a pressure not only to be big, but they have to stay lean for pictures and videos. So they're probably on all kinds of peptides and Retta, and there's all these research peptides. Not one of them has been through a pharmaceutical trial with a legitimate pharmaceutical. They're all research chemicals. So there's no evidence of what's going to happen, 3, 5, 10 years from now if you're using all these crazy peptide chemicals. I
mean, you say about the peptides, exactly. That's all everyone's talking about now. And now everyone's talking about the GLPs. And it's like, now that's another thing on top that everyone else is using. It's like, oh, Nick Walker uses Retta, and so everybody else is using it. And when you ask these people, it's like, oh, I heard Nick Walker's using it, and I heard so-and-so's using it. It's a game changer. And it's like, so that's now another drug that everyone is now having to use, Right. It's now we're hearing about all this like small plastic balls, PMMA, and I mean I find that how many of the guys even from the 90s that were heavy users of site injections and SEOs, how many of them got away with it scot-free?
Most of them. Oh no, I mean Nasser died, COVID. I don't know what the ratio would be. I mean that's another thing that nobody knew what was going to happen in the long term because nobody started using those until the mid 90s.
But you said it long term, mate. We don't know what the skin. I mean, even like the whole explosion of the skinny jabs. We call it in the UK, like the widespread usage now. It's like, guys, we don't know what the long term usage of this is. It's like when people when people say about vaping being so much better than smoking, and it's like, and then a couple of years down the line, and you hear about all these horror stories of its own health issues, and it's like, look, there's no, it's just these new drugs now are always going to come down with a downside, and but I think the whole body weight thing makes me really nervous, and I don't even know how we really sort of, unless people like myself speak out and say, guys, when you see the comments and you see these pictures of them, like certain bodybuilders on weighing scales and and it's like, and you're clapping for them. Well, then, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. You're the part of the problem that is going to, maybe in a few weeks' time, we're going to see a black and white picture of this guy with the year that they were born and the year that they died, and it's like, and everyone's sad for a day or two, then they move on, and then it happens again and again and again. So where do we draw the line, and how do we draw the line?
Well, it's I think an underlying issue here is that most of us bodybuilders, to one extent or another, are mentally ill, suffering from body dysmorphia. Yeah. So even if you knew even if you knew you were doing damage to yourself, are you going to stop if that means looking in the mirror and seeing a much smaller physique, and you're not getting that attention and validation anymore, and the likes and the clicks, people saying, you're a freak, bro, you're a beast, you're huge, those little dopamine hits every time someone gives you that little comment, even on an Instagram, some stranger halfway across the world. But meanwhile, you probably deep down your heart, you should be taking your blood pressure to see what's going on. You should go to cardiologist, but you'd rather just not know. Ignorance is bliss. It's easier to just pretend everything's okay rather than go to a cardiologist and find out, I'm not going down a good path right now. If I keep doing what I'm doing, I might not see 45 or 50 years old.
Yeah. I mean, and also these influencers, they're the ones there's more demand on them to be in shape all year round, because at least with a bodybuilder, you can go a little bit fluffy and everyone just goes, oh, you're off season, you're huge, bro, and you're pushing big weights, and it's not as bad. But these influencers like Carly Muscle, he had a heart attack, and then the Gollum guy, someone who's you know, Rich Piana. I mean, my God, I met him twice and sat next to him at one of the shows, and I mean, I was just like looking at him and everything. His arms looked so artificial, and you know, and God bless him. I mean, he seemed like a lovely guy, but like that was not a healthy looking guy. I just thought, and you know, and then when you see that something's happened and they die, you go, well, obviously we saw that one coming. But then, you know, it's like, it's sad. It's really sad, you know, because these guys are like in their 30s, 40s. Yeah, so like, I'll be honest, the Samsung 350 thing is starting to concern me now, but what there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do.
Hopefully he's with Merit Health. Hopefully he's on top of his health. You know, and even he's 40. I think he's just turning 40 right around now at some point.
Well, he was 39 when I was in Hungary in April 2024. So he's probably 40, knocking on 41 now. And I think the game changes when you get to past 40. I'm sorry. Yeah. I think your body, you know, I could talk to you about the frequency of meals and stuff. I think you need to reduce it once you get to 40. You know, I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine. He's just sold his supplement company, and he's a tall guy, really big guy, and he's in his he's 53 now. And I saw some pictures on Facebook. I said, mate, you're looking the biggest and the leanest I've ever seen you. And he said he eats 2 meals a day.
Wow.
He's down to 2 meals a day, and he said I do but all his like training is all geared towards like the hot. He's got one of those infrared saunas in his house. He's quite a wealthy guy, and he's got one of those ice plunge things. And he says, and I take this supplement and that. And he said, I don't eat breakfast till like 2 p.m. And this guy's huge. I mean, this guy's a big dude. I mean, really, really big dude. So there you go. There's a guy, and he says, my body would not be able to take even 4 or 5 meals now. He says, and plus the body's not designed to take that many.
Yeah, I don't think the hunter-gatherer cavemen or whatever you want to call them that we all evolved from. I think they were eating once a day if they were lucky.
There you go.
Yeah, they weren't having chicken and rice every 2 hours.
Did you see Ian Vallier's latest update?
No.
Yeah, he looks like he might be gearing up to do something. See, thing is, I mean, I think Chris Bumstead will compete again, because I think after a couple of years, he'll see the engagement, because he's very numbers driven, because most of the focus on that guy's Instagram account. The phenomenon that is him is that amount of followers he's got. And the thing is, you could tell engagement by the numbers. So, and you can tell how interested people are of him by the numbers. So if he's just posting pictures of him and his kids, which is lovely, and you know, and here's me doing this sort of different sort of high rocks training or whatever training I'm giving a go for the next couple of months. If people start to lose interest, the numbers will reflect that. So if the numbers reflect that, you know, he might be thinking, shit, that's Ian now.
Huh? Looks like his goal he was supposed to get into like cycling or. Not years. I thought he was trying to get into some. Was it running? He was getting back into. I think it was running.
Well, obviously that's gone out the window. But the thing is, he's still relatively young, isn't he? He's only in like early 30s.
Yeah, he's not. He's not much older. He's probably like 3 or 4 years older than Chris.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a guy that. And thing is, and also something interesting to note is that he said he's doing it on a fraction of the gear he used to take. So he said that's the thing that he's taken away. Is that since he stopped competing, he doesn't feel the need to push the dosages as high because he's not competing. He doesn't see the point. And he's obviously just training for the love of it. So the pressure's off the competing. He's probably just eating well because that's what he likes to do. And look what's happened. He's probably, you know, the pressure of competing's off now. So it means that he can just pursue his passion of training without the pressures that come along with it. And his body is responding.
Interesting.
On less gear, on a fraction of the gear. So guys, you know, the difference between you and that top pro isn't because they're taking X, Y, Z in huge amounts. It's not. It's because of things like genetics and, you know, and the consistency of their training, their diet, you know, everything. And it's also it's not about high doses. I know people don't want to hear that, but because they want to believe that they can, you know, anything is achievable. But unfortunately, like I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning look like Ronnie Coleman. No. You know, no matter what I do with gear, food, training, no matter what, I'm never going to, you know, it's never going to happen for me. It never was. So you have to understand that it's not just about someone giving you that magic formula of taking X, Y, and Z and, you know, or this compound that you've never heard of that this person can get and stuff like that. So.
All right, let's end on a high note because this has been kind of a downer of an episode.
Not really, because I'm still alive.
Well, that's true. I mean, I'm so happy you're still with us, Giles, but
just about.
Great news. Today you just announced the dates for The first of what's probably going to be 2 2026 tours, maybe 3, who knows? For Andrew Jack, Olympia All-Star Tour. This is your second tour with Andrew, correct?
Second tour. I did one in October 2024. And it was absolutely fantastic. The thing is, I'd only interviewed him twice, and I didn't know him that well because most of the people I've toured with, I've got a little bit more of a history with them because the thing is, Andrew is quite relatively new to the sport. He only turned pro in, what was it, 21?
2022.
2022. So 2022, he turned pro, and then straight away Texas Pro, 8th Olympia, 5th Olympia. So I didn't know him that well. So I was taking a bit of a gamble. But because of Matthew from the Euro Muscle Show, I was chatting to him, and he said, Giles, he says, Andrew, of all the athletes at that first year, he said, Andrew was the first one I booked. He said, and it gave me a really good impression. He said, because he was such a pleasure to deal with, so easy to deal with. He said, I put on from a personal point of view, he says, I would recommend him highly. Because I had a very good experience. And Matthew's quite new to the industry, but he's at a high level because he runs this huge expo in Amsterdam. And he's looking to expand them as well to other countries. There'll be news on that soon. I'm looking to work more closely with Matthew as well. Actually, there's a few things I was literally chatting to him today because I might even be moving back up north as well to be closer. So because I said, look, we should get an office together, and there's several projects we want to do together. In fact, that one we were talking about earlier with those big names, because we'll announce that once that's finalized. But so Andrew, absolutely amazing, and he messaged me because he wanted me to take him to Asia last year, but I couldn't quite pull it together. I had all that stuff with Ronnie, with the Ronnie sepsis thing and all that, and then the chaos of that, and because it was back to back with the Lee Priest tour, and I had a great experience, and I thought I'd definitely do another one, and then because he's got because this is a UK tour, it's 7 dates, then he has to go and do FIBO, then he's got some obligations with his new sponsor Cytec, and then basically I'm going to fly him for another tour, and we're going to do, because I've got 2/3 countries on board so far. And I'd like to get 5 because I've got 2 more on the hook interested. And then it's so because he's given me the dates of the blocks of dates when he's available. I filled this first one with the UK dates. He goes home and then he comes back and then we do the other countries. But it makes it so much easier when the athletes are easy to work with. I mean, as long as you feed him, which is, I mean, that's a challenge in itself.
Sure.
But the thing is, I'm so rooting for Andrew to win everything this year. Like, I'm going to make sure I'm going to have his food. I'm going to have his diet literally on a piece of paper in my hand, laminated the whole tour, because I'm going to be making sure that he's eating on time and and making sure he gets his workouts in. Because when I do the schedule, I'll even put on the schedule day by day. I'll say, okay, then we've got an opportunity before we get there, or to train at the previous gym the next morning, the following morning before we leave. Because I don't want him to miss a workout, a meal, anything, so because then they're more relaxed, and they're getting paid, they're meeting the fans, they're promoting the sport, promoting the Olympia title, what it represents as a top Olympia athlete. And it's then it's no imposition, and then they're more likely to say yes when they've got a spare week free, and they think, oh well, may as well go do a tour with Giles, make some money, and and have some fun, because we did have a lot of fun on that tour. I mean, it was really I really like him. The thing is, and also the thing with Andrew is, if you look at his Instagram, that's all it is. It's just him training. You very rarely hear him speaking, so you don't get to know any of his personality. And the thing is, spending time with him, he's a really funny, interesting, intelligent, he's got a lot of thoughts on a lot of different subjects, and he's a smart guy. I mean, he's educated. He's a qualified guy. He's
an engineer.
He's an engineer. He's not a dummy. Do you know what I mean? The thing is, no one knows whether he is or not, because you never hear him. He doesn't really do many podcasts. I mean, I had to bloody twist his arm to get to do a 20-minute one here and a 30-minute one in here for the Olympia channel, because that's the deal I have. I give him some content, and then I look after the athletes, and then they back me up with the Olympia name, and back me up on social media. And that's basically how we've gone along for the last 6 years now. So and that's how we've done it. But have you seen him recently? Did you see that frontal bicep he posted the other day?
It wasn't really. So what he posts? That one. Yeah, it goes it clicks away immediately.
Oh, Andrew!
It's the thumbnail for the post. You can screen grab it if you're quick enough.
Yeah. Is it not at the end or something? Or he's a bugger, isn't he?
Maybe it is. No, I think he just does this drop set hack squats with Kamal.
Such a tease.
Well, I mean, I did see that picture, like Nick Strength and Power used it in thumbnail, but he just screen grabbed that because
you would have paused it. You would have paused it.
Andrew doesn't post physique updates. It's not his style.
But I mean, obviously, I've been speaking to Kamal a lot, and he said, I said, mate, he said, I'm so glad to see that Andrew's with you again in Tampa, and he said, yeah, because I've trained with Kamal. He's old school. He's on it. There's no messing around. There's no fancy. There's no rubber bands. There's no scientific or electrode pads. It's just proper old school training. Work for the old greats in the 80s and the 90s and stuff, and it'll work for Andrew. So, and I think Andrew just, I think he knows, I think he feels this year that this year could be his year, probably like Derek did last year or in 2023. I feel like Andrew knows now that he's got, and thing is now he's got that team of him, Sito, and Kamal, because Sito obviously used to work with Kamal when he was prepping him. So the three of them, there's clearly everything's just clicking into place. So, and I mean, what I saw in Romania, like Tarek said, he said another 5-6 pounds on top of that, and brings the condition, and he's dry and crispy, and and improved and everything. I mean, realistically, can anyone stop him? I mean, I don't. I just think it's his time. I think it's his time. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, he's got tools. He's got a unique look that nobody else has. Like I always say, there's very few bodybuilders that you could take the head out of the picture and you'd know in a split second, oh, that's so-and-so. Mm-hmm. Nobody looks like Andrew. He's got that small waist, the super wide clavicles, the shoulders, the back. Yeah, it's a phenomenal physique. I agree with you. He could very well win everything this year.
296 pounds on stage with a 29-inch waist he was in Romania.
Oof, yeah.
I mean, that is that's a superhero. That's the one of the places I'm taking it. I mean, that's a literal like cartoon superhero physique could look. I mean, that's just, and the thing is, I've seen him, and the thing is, I never really got the hype until I saw him at the 22 Olympia. Do you remember? And I was like, oh shit, I get it now, because I saw him and my eyes were just drawn to him, and he was sick and he wasn't in his best condition, but he just looked absolutely insane. I just something about his presence. And so to see, obviously how he looked at the Olympia, and like I said, I've said in 31 years, I'm in 31 years of, doing what I've been doing in the media and everything, bodybuilding. I've never, ever seen anyone actually improve their physique, not their condition, but their physique as well. From an Olympia to a post-Olympia show, you see guys get harder and drier and fuller. You see them change in that respect, because that's something that can be done over a few days. But to actually see someone gain muscle, I've never seen that before. So, and that's basically whilst prepping and training, and dieting and everything. So it tells me that, and the only thing that changed was the fact he was now training with Kamal. So now he's back training with Kamal. I just see only good things happening, mate. And he's a smart guy as well. He's very, he's not he hasn't got his head in the sky. He's very realistic, and he's very humble as well. Very realistic guy. But I'm excited to be touring with him again. I was, like I said, messaging him before and stuff, because the poster went out today. And now what I got to get working on now is finalizing this international one. So any overseas, I'm hoping there's 2 more countries I want to get landed, and maybe 1 more, and then I'll shut that one down. And then I need to work on some other tours. So I've got there's about 4, 5, 6 tours I want to do this year. So I need to pick up the pace.
You're a busy tiger, Giles. Wow.
Yeah, I want to be. I like being busy. It's
absolutely,
because thing is, even with the tours and the live streaming commentary trips and stuff, there's still big gaps sometimes after a tour when I could be doing something productive. So, and I do prefer to be busy. And I enjoy it. And the thing is, every single tour as well, I learn how to make the next one and make the future tours better. So, and now I've got Chris as well, collaborating with him, doing the merch and stuff like that. And he comes along and he adds a lot of fun as well. And the thing is, that's the thing is, like, I genuinely enjoy doing these tours. I have a good time. And this time I'm definitely going to train with Andrew as well, because the last tour I didn't train. I was too busy doing social media and taking pictures of them when they're training. But this time, I'm going to get a few sessions with Andrew, show him how to get big arms like Tiger.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. And I'm happy you're doing another tour with them. The first one, I remember all The Lion King. I mean, there's some iconic moments.
Oh yeah, you picked the baby up. Yeah, the baby was a little lion outfit, little lion like onesie, and he just did that. I said, Andrew, do that again. I filmed it, and everyone was laughing. That was in Ireland. That was good.
That was awesome.
That was because I was doing that 91 days no alcohol. And I think I was on day 87.
Oh, geez.
And on the last night, Andrew and Chris, we went to this steakhouse bar thing went to a bar in Belfast on a Saturday night, so it was busy. You know, the Irish, they like to drink, and Chris and Andrew are both drinking cocktails and just wafting it past my face, and it was like the last night, and I was like. And Andrew's going, go on, Giles, go on. Chris is going, go on, Giles. And it's, no one will know, you've done 87 days. That's great. No alcohol.
Peer pressure.
And then and Andrew was like, no, we should support Giles. We should support Giles, Chris. He's going to regret this if he doesn't do these last 4 days. So basically, I've just sat there drinking my Diet Coke, in Saturday night in Belfast with Andrew and Chris. Couldn't bloody have a girly cocktail with them to celebrate the end of the tour.
I'm glad Andrew was the voice of reason. Peer pressure trying to get
he's got my back. He's got my back. Thing is, just even when he messages, it's always polite and enthusiastic, and thing is, it makes a huge difference, when you're putting these things together, because you wanna please them. You want them to be happy, relaxed. You want them to be excited and looking forward to it. So you want every tiny little detail taken care of, and it's like you want to get him a direct flight that's business class. You want to make sure that they arrive happy and they've got their food, and so you're constantly paying attention and thinking about how you can and also so there's not too much traveling and they're not too tired, and make sure they get their training in. There's a lot of different elements that to these tours, especially when you're doing them back to back. So we've got some new ones as well we're going to as well. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good. And this tour is very well spread out as well, because sometimes if you have them too close together, some of the gyms can get a bit, and the supplement stores, they can get a bit whingy. But they're all happy because they're all spaced right out. And also it's not too much driving as well. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. And because I've got no tours next month or March. But after that, I want them to be consecutive. I want to do at least 4, 5, 6 tours. So I'm looking at Ruffin, Lavroni, Dennis Wolf, Phil Heath. I'd love to do another one with Clarida. I'm looking at a lot of names. But I messaged Nick Walker and he didn't respond twice. Yeah, but he doesn't like to travel. So just say, bro, I don't really like to travel. It's not really my thing, but thank you. But at least bloody message me back. Come on, Nick. Come on. Shape up, mate.
I'll give him credit because I did ask him for an interview about a month ago or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he said, no, thank you. But he replied.
Good. Fine. Yeah,
That's great. I'd rather you say no, thank you than nothing. Because
thing is, we put a lot of effort in, and we're well established. And it's like just don't ignore us, because it's like at the end of the day, you're trying to help them and promote them, and we're not going to put. And the thing is, you especially us two, we're not going to put them on the spot and ask stupid questions and try and clickbait them and make them look stupid and get to sort of like some of these people do. They'll ask them stupid questions and then they got their clip and then it goes viral and. It's like somebody asked me once, he says, what? He says, next time you interview Dorian, you should ask about the Holocaust. And I'm like, because he's supposed to be a Holocaust tonight at one point when he used to smoke a lot of weed. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to ask him that. I said, because then I put him in an awkward spot where he feels he has to answer. He gets absolutely roasted online. And then the next time I ask him, he's going to say, no thanks, Giles. You put me in a bit of a bind. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's what I would do. I would be like, nah, sod you, mate. I'm no thanks. So, you got to think a little bit, and also when they ask about their gear stack, it's like when I see podcasters going, so what gear did you take for the 98 Mr. Olympia? And it's like, no, don't do that. It's like, I've never seen you do anything stupid like that,
There are whole channels that are podcasts that's what the focus is asking the guys what they ran, what they're running now, and they do huge numbers, but I feel like that's not my business. I don't want to put it out there, because then obviously if they say I use a small amount, people are going to call them liars. If they say, then people are going to say, well, okay, well, that's what I need to use. I need to use 2 grams and 4 grams and 20 IUs and all that, because that's what and I want to look like that guy. So
there you go.
I just feel it's, for me, I'm not comfortable doing it. So
yeah. All right. Cool. I'm also, one last thing is I'm seeing things that it looks like Hadi might not be making the Arnold. Is that true?
I don't know. I mean, he's in Dubai right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So he's already out of Iran. So I think that's a really good that forebodes well that he's going to make it, because that's where he was last time. I think if he was in Iran, I'd be very worried because of what's going on with that country right now.
Somebody from Iran was messaging me actually, and they said, "Oh, sorry, I dip in and out of checking your content because the internet in my country keeps going down. They keep blocking it."
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, imagine, somebody blocks like your internet access and stuff like that. It means you can't, you can't see what's going on in the world. You can't get the word out or message out if something bad's going on. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a really real big concern, So, at least if he's in Dubai, I'd be like Sean Ray. I'd have like an apartment in America or something. I'd be going back and forth, at this point. I know he's got his family and everything else, but at the end of the day, he's a professional athlete for only so many years, which will set him up for the rest of his life. So, and to avoid all these pressures and all these stresses, I would be having one foot in Iran, one foot in America if I was him. So rather than this stress of having to sort of, oh shit, am I going to get there? Am I going to get there? Because it must be a nightmare for him.
Well, the USA they halted all visa applications to live here from like 70 countries, and Iran was one of them. So no one from Iran is going to be allowed in here to live for probably until the next president that we have. Not with Trump.
Have you seen the new He-Man trailer? What do you think? Obviously the guy's not going to be 280 jacked, which He-Man was. I mean, it's quite hard to find an actor that fits the bill that much and is that actually that muscular.
AI. Just use AI.
Yeah. So that'll be the future, mate. That'll be the future. There'll be entire films made with AI. So you watch.
Oh yeah, we're almost there now. So all right. Well, I want to wrap it up because we're exactly over an hour. And guys, if you have comments about heart attacks, how to prevent them, any experiences you've had, anything you want to comment on that, or if you want to talk about how great Andrew Jacked is, and if you think he's going to win all the shows this year like Giles does, and I'm kind of there. I'm not 100%, but I'm like 98% there.
If say Hadi does beat him at the Arnold, and Hadi makes it to the Arnold, and Hadi beats him, I still think Andrew will win the Olympia and beat Hadi at the Olympia, because in that time from the Arnold to the Olympia, that's time that is more beneficial to an Andrew than it is to a Hadi or a Derek, because he needs time to make those improvements. Whereas the other guys, they're kind of as good as they'll get, really. So even if Hadi does what he did to Samson in 24, I still feel it's kind of the situation that Samson was in, because the improvements Samson made from the 24 Arnold when he got second and the Arnold UK to the Olympia when he won it, he needed that time to basically improve enough to beat Hadi, which he did. Yeah. So I think the same will happen to Andrew. And if obviously Hadi can't make it or can't show up, which would be I'll be disappointed for him. I think Andrew's going to win the Olympia. You see people saying that Nick Walker's going to win the Arnold. I don't know about that. I don't know. He needs time to sort that waist, mate.
No, I agree. But if you're a Nick Walker fan, you got to believe he can at least potentially win the Arnold.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've seen stranger things happen. To me, I don't see it likely that Martin or Nick. I think it's going to be between. We're going to be talking about this as we get closer to the Arnold. But most people do see this as between Andrew and Hadi. But we've all seen people come out of the people that we thought were going to be 4th or 5th place win a show. We've seen it so many times over the years.
I think Martin will be with what Martin displayed at the Prague show. I think he's going to be a problem for Hadi, because right now I think he's actually more complete than Hadi.
See, I can't tell. I can't look at his Instagram. He blocked me. But
did he?
Oh, a long time. Martin blocked.
Martin Fitzwater blocked you. Why?
It was shortly after the episode where we finally showed that footage. From Prague.
Well, at the end of the day, it's not AI. It happened.
Oh, I know exactly. So, whatever.
What a shame. What a shame.
What goes on? Anyway, well, Giles, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm very, very happy that you are still with us here 4 years later. Yeah, I mean, the world is a better place with the tiger in it.
Maybe I'm AI.
No, man, I know you're not. No AI could be this witty and come up with all the corny jokes that we get on the group chat. So. Yep. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching Power Hour. Drop some comments in there, and we will see you here next time on Power Hour. Thanks for watching.